let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are making the Lauren tote. The pattern is by Mormino. Oh, that's me. Hi. It's been a while since I've made a tutorial for this bag. I just released the clear video and the cutting of this video, and I finally had time to sew it. It has been weeks since that happened, but for you it will be mere days. I had so much fun making this bag. It's such a great size. It's really simple. It's like a good jumping off point for creativity. So I hope you enjoy. I'd love to see how you make yours, and let's get sewing. Alright y'all, we are making the Lauren bag. I do have an older video for this pattern that is still very relevant. I haven't made any changes to the pattern. The only thing I'm going to be doing differently is the zipper pocket. I'm going to do it with an overlay instead of the simple generic zipper box situation. So whatever method you prefer, go for it. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. So we're going to go ahead and start with our straps. I can add a crossbody strap to this pattern later because I'm using the dual strap connectors, but I did not cut a crossbody strap out. The materials I am using are this little black dress glitter vinyl that is available on my website. It's a nice mid-weight glitter vinyl. It's not super structured, like it's not too sturdy. It sews up really nicely. I like the finish of it. So I've got my stitch length set to about 5, 4.5 or 5, and we're going to sew around all 4 sides. An 1/8 of an inch from the outside edge. I prepared 2 bobbins for this bag, but I don't think I need 2 of them since I'm not adding a crossbody strap. This is a super simple tote bag pattern. The only thing you need to be careful with is how you cut it. I know it can be a little confusing, but it's pretty simple. You could also do a trailing zipper method if you didn't want to add zipper tabs. If you have a zipper that is already, I believe 16 inches, then you're good. You could just fold the edges at like a 90-degree angle and install it. But if you are using zipper tape, you're going to want to either do the 90-degree angle on one end and a zipper end on the other, or just zipper ends on both sides of the bag. And if you're like, what does that even mean? I will show you in a second. Okay, straps complete. We'll set those aside. Again, I'm not making a crossbody strap at this time. And then we're going to follow the instructions on the strap connector options for attaching the 1 inch to 3/4 inch dual strap connectors, which means I need the bottom part of this to be 2 by 4, and then my handles are 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to peel off my tape and fold the long raw edges in towards the center on all of these. And if you want to, you could top stitch these at like 1/4 of an inch in from the outside edge. And then when you top stitch it onto the bag, do 1/8 of an inch, and it would give it like a fun double top stitched situation look. But I prefer to just not top stitch at all. If you want to, you could add a scrap of fabric inside that connector just to help with stability and durability, but I don't think this vinyl will have any issues. And now I'm just going to tear a couple of little pieces of double-sided tape to butt up the raw ends of the strap connector inside. These are wrapped in a paste film, which I know can be annoying, but we want to make sure that they arrive to you unscratched, undamaged. As always, if you have an issue with any product that you purchase from our website, just reach out via email. If we are not aware of an issue, we can't make it better. So definitely let us know. And then if you don't hear back from us within 24 hours on a business day, just reach out or check your spam. A lot of our emails have been going to spam for some reason, so just saying, we do respond pretty quickly. Anyway, so now sliding that in, and I'm peeling my double-sided tape. And you want to make sure your tape doesn't touch the connector. And then as I'm folding this down, I don't do center to center. I do like 5/8 and 3/8. I don't know what a good visual would be. But I like to make sure if I'm going to add a rivet, there's plenty of room and it's not just in the middle, not actually doing anything. So then I'll tape that together again so when I stick it onto my fabric it doesn't shift. And then we do it again. This is a really, like I said, a really simple bag to make. There's a lot of different ways that you could dress it up and have fun with it. I sell this for anywhere from $75 to $135, depending on my materials. The one that I've cut out right now, this one will probably be an $85. But if I do make a crossbody strap for it, I usually charge about $15 for a crossbody strap. I've not actually done math on how much it should cost. I'm like, oh, that feels right. So if it's not, let me know. Obviously that price changes cork versus leather versus vinyl. No, I'm fine. I was like, did I tape the wrong side on those? No, just this one. Okay, place the strap connector 1.5 from the top and 5 inches in. Okay, so I'm going to set up my ruler at the 6-inch mark. And then I'm going to line up, I'm going to press this up against the top edge of my ruler, because that is now 5 inches in and 1.5 from the top. So technically it's lined up at 6 inches. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And if you feel like that doesn't quite look right to you, you're welcome to do whatever measurement you would like. And just double check, that's 5. And that's 5, yep. And then I'm going to sew this down into place about 1/8 of an inch from all the edges. And then I will trim those threads, pull them to the back, tie off, whatever you like to do. And then you can add a rivet or 2 as well. So cute. Alright. And then we do it again. And then make sure that you've got your little notches in the corners at the bottom edge of the bag. If you feel like you are not very good at centering, or like you're worried that your strap connector doesn't look perfect, you can always use multiple rulers. So like I can set up one here at my 1.5 inch, and then I can set up one here at that 1 inch. And then I've created this little corner template basically, so I can lay that down and press up against the corner of my ruler and then press down. And then if you're worried about things shifting, you can always just sew one at a time. And then to make sure that I get it right in the corner where I want it, sometimes I will use my reverse lever to position the needle exactly where I want it. So if you ever see me with my hand on the wheel and on the reverse lever, I'm switching the position of my needle. Alright, let's get that. So my ruler is against the edge at the 6-inch mark. And then I've got my other ruler here at 1.5 from the top edge. And then this ruler was to make sure that that is perfectly placed. And then it's up to you if you want to add those rivets or not. I'm not going to add any rivets. I think it's a nice clean look without, and I'm using black nickel hardware, so on that black vinyl, like, it's hardly going to be seen, so why worry about it? So zipper pocket to the lining panel. You're going to add this to the zipper panel. Well, honestly, you could add it to either side, truly. And if I didn't say that in the pattern, I probably should have. I am just using a single layer of waterproof canvas for the lining of the bag. I did not add any interfacing. I have SoFuse Plus on my exterior, and I'm going to add this vinyl overlay. Pocket. So this is not as instructed in the pattern, but it is a fun method. This is 9.5 inches. What in the world? So center that. I've got it at about 2.5 inches from the top edge. I'm going to sew around the outside edge only. And we're going to cut that open. Make sure you do not cut through your overlay. And trim away on the back side. Keep a decent amount of fabric within it still. And it's best if you can to glide your scissors instead of cutting so that you don't cut through that overlay. Okay, and now I can grab my lining fabric. You want your lining fabric to be face up and your zipper to be face up because you want what's inside your zipper to be your printed fabric. And I like to lay the raw edge of my zipper tape to one side and leave a decent amount hanging off the other, so that when I attach my zipper pocket lining, my zipper pulls just totally out of the way. And then if you can flatten it by hand and not have to top stitch, cool. But I just top stitch it. Double-sided tape. And now you want the lining pieces to be laying wide open. We're going to lay this over top. Centering the zipper teeth within that opening. And then I like to start in this corner where my zipper pull is. And start at the top. Pivot. Needle in and pivot. Make sure your lining fabric is laying wide open. And now before we close it, bring your zipper pull in. Depending on the size of your zipper pull, you need to leave a wider opening. And then backstitch that closed. And then we are birthing this bag through that zippered pocket. So we're going to want to take that into account when we close this up. And trim off extra little bit. And fold up all four layers of your pocket. So along one side, back stitch, turn around, go down the other. Make sure you're catching all of your layers. And then you can open this seam. It sits nice and flat. Perfect. So now you can add whatever other pockets you'd like. I only have it set up for one pocket on this bag, and you can see my lining pieces are two completely different sizes. That's good, you want that. And I'm going to prep my exterior zipper and add my purse feet. And then we're ready to put this all together. So you can see it's such a quick sew. I got my zipper tabs, zipper, purse feet. There are template markings for the purse feet on the pattern. You can do whatever you'd like. I'm going to do 1 inch in from all corners of the stabilizer, which becomes 1.5 inches from all corners. And then centered. Yeah, so oh my God, truly ask me how many times I've done that in my life. And then you can reinforce these with duct tape. Make sure all of your slits for the purse feet are going in the same direction. And then I've got my purse feet and washers. And like I said, you can use duct tape, but I'm going to use this little scrap. Wow. I freehand cut that. I'd say I did pretty good. Pretty good. I'm using a scrap of self-adhesive interfacing instead of duct tape because I ran out of duct tape and I haven't bought any more. Laying all of that flat. And then peel and stick. And to get that, I like smoosh a corner in and then it comes undone. Make sure you're not pulling on it, which can be hard to, easier said than done. And I'm just going to lightly tap it in place. And I'm going to flip it to secure it. Because if I were to do it this side, this isn't flat, so it would kind of sit bubbled. But this side is flat. Just kind of shake it. Shake it. Okay, that's ready. Let's add our tabs. Which, this is totally up to you. A lot of times what I have done is I will sew one end about 1/4 inch. So it's raw edge of my zipper tape and raw edge of my zipper tab. It's basically like 3 pieces instead of 4. So the underside is a raw edge, but the top edge is not. Because it's not gonna fray. But if you're worried about the wear and tear, zipping and unzipping and what it might look like on the exterior, this is a great method, and it reduces bulk. And that is a 1.5 by 1.5 inch square of vinyl that I cut. And just double check on the other side that you caught everything. And let's say like right here, there's a lot of excess. I can just take my scissors very carefully and cut it off. Who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. Okay. So that's all the little random bits prepared and ready to be sewn together. Alright, I am adding double-sided tape to all of my lining pieces and my exterior pieces, all being 4 to these 4 pieces. And I like to make sure I'm using 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape for that. You do not want to use 1/4 inch, or you could risk seeing it within your seams. I forgot to add a nameplate. Let's do that really quick. There is my center. So I'm going to add my bottom panel to one side for now. And the bottom panel just fits right in between those notched edges. And you're going to sew at an 1/8 of an, nope, 1/2 inch next to but not through your stabilizer. And then this is optional, but it looks nice to top stitch the bottom all the way. But just know that it's kind of challenging to top stitch the other side. And I totally realized I didn't go over that 90-degree angle thing. Let me do that really quick. Okay, so if you want to make one side of your zipper a 90-degree angle and one side with a zipper tab, because you cannot do both sides at a 90-degree angle. One side has to be completely closed off. So it would be this, where the zipper pull zips to would be the side you 90-degree angle. Basically, you're just going to pivot that so that the zipper tape goes off to the raw edge. So if you do that on both sides, what it does is it prevents you from being able to zip your zipper pull off. So if you have open raw edges, if you can see the end of your zipper tape outside that seam, your zipper pull is going to fall off. So this could be one side of your bag, and then the other side would have your zipper tab, which would keep it from zipping off. It would have a place to stop, and then when you zip your bag shut, your zipper tape is in the side seam, so it can't come off. It's got nowhere to go. So there's that could help. Alright, let's go ahead and finish this bag. As I mentioned in the cutting video, there are, you know, you could make this a couple different ways as far as how the bag looks on the exterior, as long as you're cutting it within that same size. Like if you want to piece together several colors of vinyl or whatever, you can totally do that. I know a lot of people like to add like an accent of vinyl across the bottom or even the top. There's all kinds of ways to just make it unique and your own. I love it. So I've got my zipper face down. If you want to base that in place, you can, but I've got that tape on there, so it's good. This is the side with my bottom panel. So this longer piece is now the same size as the piece with the bottom panel. So I'm gonna set that up against this side. And line up those raw edges, taping it down into place. And then as close as you can to the zipper teeth without going through the zipper teeth. So for me, that's like a 3/8 inch seam allowance. 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch. And then this is another preference point, but I will explain it as I always do. To top stitch this, you do not want to fold this in half perfectly and top stitch end to end. The reason being, you're going to have bulky corners on the top of the bag. So if you top stitch all the way, you're going to have bulk within those corners. So what I like to do is only fold down this seam and top stitch all the way across, leaving my lining out of it. But if you're worried about your lining getting caught in your zipper, what you can do is fold this down and sew end of your zipper to the end of your zipper. So you'd leave 1/2 inch untop stitched on each end. It's not unsewn. You still want to sew it, but it's not top stitched. So your call there, whatever your preference. But I'm going to fold my top seam. I'm going to fold my seam down so that I've got a nice curved edge. It's not even curved necessarily, it's just a nice feeling edge that's sitting right on top of itself. And then you can iron this down, but you'll see, like, it sits really nicely. And I'm not worried about it getting caught in my zipper. So now we'll do the other side. And now you cannot, it's literally impossible to attach your bottom panel at this point. So you gotta wait till the end to attach the bottom panel. And then top stitching it is a little bit tricky, but not impossible. Zipper sitting flat. your lining pieces touching right sides together. We're going to flip this over and fold and top stitch only the exterior fabric. And just double check that your seam is being rolled down towards the bottom of the bag at the top of the zipper. And then we'll open the bag, and that's when we'll put the bottom of the bag on the other side. So right sides together, 1/2 inch seam allowance next to but not through the Decaville Heavy, Peltex, whatever you used. And then to top stitch. This is where it gets fun. If you did the 90-degree angle option, you could unzip your bag completely and it would be no problem. But we're gonna open to see the exterior and flatten that seam towards the bottom of the bag. And top stitch that way. So we'll put that under. Please make sure that you do not catch your zipper teeth with your needle or your bag is ruined, essentially. No fun. And make sure that you're only sewing through the seam that needs to be sewn through. Okay, and that's top stitched. And now comes the fun part and giant part of this bag, which is sewing all your right sides together and flipping it through. Here is where you'll see the difference in sewing the side seams. So if I had top stitched through my lining and my exterior, I would have a lot of bulk right there. But with the way I've sewn it, it's nice and flat, easy to get through, less bulk. You could definitely make this bag with like maybe a drop-in lining if you wanted. And I'm just gonna slightly increase my seam allowance within the lining, not by a ton. And it is a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I don't trim the seam allowance anywhere but at the zipper. And that's going to help prevent any bulk as well. So we'll just repeat that on the other side. And then we're going to square the bottom of the bag. Butterfly that seam open. And we're going to sew from stitch line to stitch line. We're not going all the way across, you just want to sew from stitch line to stitch line. Next to but not through your stabilizer. And then we can trim down within that stitch line. So stitch line to stitch line and trim down. You don't want to cut through any threads on the bottom. Okay. I don't know what that was. Double-sided tape, maybe? Now comes the fun part. You can leave the bottom wide open to turn, or if you wanted to, you could finish the bottom of the bag now and then just turn it through the pocket. But it is definitely easiest to just turn it right now. So if you used really thick leather or you used a vinyl you're worried is going to dent when you turn it, it's going to be super quick and easy to turn it through that wide open lining. Beautiful corners. And then you'll see how nicely the sides of the bag will sit as well. And you want to do your best to push those out before you close up the bag, because you're not going to have access to them as easily later on. And they will need a little extra literal push. So I'm just using my thumb, but you can see how nicely it looks. This is not yet poked out, needs a little more attention. And if you're worried about your fingernails not being able to properly handle that, you could use a chopstick, turning tool, etc. Come on. And it could be that you just need to trim your fabrics a little bit more as well. But now I'm within the layers of the fabric. There we go. So I'm not coming through the lining side. I'm literally poking through to the wrong side of the fabric. Yep. Now that's as out as it's gonna get. Looks scrumptious. All right. So now I can reach into my zippered pocket, grab my zipper pocket lining, open, and grab the bottom of the bag that is still completely unsewn. So I see I've got my long side and I've got my short side. So I'm going to line up that notch on the short side with the length of the bottom side. And start sewing that together, lining up the edges, 1/2 inch seam allowance. And then I will sew up the bottom. So normally you would like match up the center seams, but there is no center seam on this one. There's only the one bottom seam, and that becomes the side of a bag, the bag. So all you gotta do now is sew that shut. Start from one end to the other. And then trim off the excess fabric. So here is the side seam. Here is that bottom joined seam. So just make sure you keep that consistent. Here is where that corner cutout is. So what I'm doing is I'm flattening this. And then I'm pushing the bottom seam in. And make sure you're back stitching when you start and stop. And then we'll push the lining into the bag. Making sure it all sits nicely. Like a freaking glove. And then we'll sew this opening shut. Back into the bag. Then we're ready to add our handles, and that's it. That's the bag. It's all done. Push those corners in. Oh, that would be so cute to like almost make it like a Brooklyn. We like flatten the top here. Oh my god, shut up. I want to do it now. Just like a boxy tote. Kind of fun. Different shape. Who dis? But it's also super cute like this. Alright, so we're just going to slide that strap under and through the D-ring area. And that now becomes a D-ring that we can attach a snap hook to for a crossbody strap. Or if you want to use them in the opposite direction, you can, you know, put a tassel on it, etc. But that is the Lauren tote all completed. I was urged by viewers in the So Whatever Facebook group a millennia ago to name it the Lauren bag. I'm not that conceited. Anyway, so now we can secure those straps with rivets or sew them into place, whatever you would like to do, and you're all finished. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you make a Lauren tote and have some fun with it, and I will see you next time.